Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another episode of BS for Build. In this episode, we're going to finish the installation of the wide body kit on this 2016 STI. Stay tuned. All right, we got a lot of work to do and not a lot of time to get it done, so let's just jump right into it. In the last episode, I said I was gonna fix this. It's not like me to not fix something that I said I would fix in the last episode, right guys? Anyways, normally this can be, this little protrusion issue can be solved by a little bit of trimming of the material in the back that pushes the piece out. So I'm gonna uninstall this piece, bring it over to the sander. I have used a depth gauge to measure the amount of stickage, and we'll sand that baby down and reapply it and see how it looks. Sanding it down works wonders. Everything's fitting together much better. Now, here's the thing is I had to pop the bumper off to get one of those bolts in, and then when I went to get the bumper back on, I'm just about, I don't know, is that a 1/16 of an inch off or something? It's causing a little bit of a lip, which is then being shown through the rest of the body line. Now, Casey has to take all this stuff off to send it to paint, and it's his car, and he knows better how to get that bumper to snap back in there all the way. I would probably start loosening up the headlight and working with that bracket underneath there. But I'm gonna let him handle that. So it's a 1/16 of an inch off up here at the top, but once the bumper clips in the rest of the way, it'll be all good. So that's all good. But the backside's all lining up well, the wheel arch lines up well. I'm calling the front completely done. So now let's go over to the rear. And it's time to do some investigating about how we're gonna go ahead and cut our rear arch. Because this is a three-piece rear, there's a piece that goes over the door that then covers up this piece, and then a panel that goes over here, and then a panel for the bumper. So there's lots of panels that we gotta work with, but I'm gonna go ahead and start taking out some of this fender liner material and doing some research about, how many skins there are here, what kind of materials it's all made up with, and how we're gonna do that to figure out where we're gonna make our cut line. Rear quarter panel exploratory surgery has been completed. I cut the fender liner out right here, just the part that dives down like what we did in the front. And then I took a nice chunk out of here so I could inspect the outer skin and the inner skin. And what I found out was the two skins are very, very close to each other all the way around that arch right there, all the way around here. Once you start going higher, the inner skin has a varying degree of distance away from the outer skin. So, what that means is if I cut on this line right here, I'm gonna have this nice, neat and tidy two pieces of metal that I can seal up right around there. If I cut higher to the door, which would be like about, all you can gain is a 1/2 inch higher. You can't go any higher than that or else you're cutting into the door. If I cut up here, we're gonna have the inner skin be varying distance away, and we're gonna have a larger and smaller gap throughout the cut that we would need to seal up. The reason I don't wanna do that as well is because I don't want to be welding near this door jamb, because when you have metal that is shaped like this, it's swooping and then it's got a hard 90-degree angle right here. That metal's under a lot of stress. It was bent that way from the factory. It was stamped out that way. It's under a lot of stress. When you heat metal that's under a lot of stress like that, it wants to bring itself back to its natural shape. So the odds of it warping are really, really high. So if I cut within like say 1/4 of an inch of this door jamb and then I try and weld a piece of metal into the middle to seal up that seam, the odds of having warping on the door panel go up really high. And I really don't want that to happen. So that's it. I'm gonna make the line right here. It's gonna kind of dive down. So we're gonna follow that crease that the body line has already provided us. So it's gonna dive down right here, so we're not cutting off extra material down here. There's no reason to do that. It's gonna dive down right here after the rear bumper as well, and then we'll follow that arch right around there. Let's do it. Great. Let's go ahead. Next step now is to get the seam sealer out, and we're going to go ahead and see, this is where it's actually sealed up. We're going to go ahead and get seam sealer inside these two panels, and they're cracked the two panels and sticking out a little bit to completely seal up that seam right there and not let any water in. Okay, we've got seam sealer applied all the way through that cut there, all the way through, so that'll waterproof that whole quarter panel so no water can get trapped in there, any bad stuff can happen there. So next step is go ahead and start test fitting the panels and laying out the panels and see how we're gonna go ahead and attach them to the car. Well, we know how. How about where we're gonna attach them to the car? All right, so we got this panel temporarily mounted up. I haven't put the well nuts in there yet, and that's why it's temporary. Now moving on to this panel, it's really causing a lot of problems. Basically the biggest problem is the way it lays right now. The lower part of the wheel arch sticks out a whole, like, I don't know, 1/2 to 3/4 inch more than the other piece. Now I thought this might have been my fault. This panel maybe needed to go this way more or that way more, or one way or another. And it turns out because of the way these two things join up, there's no different way to do this. They have to be pretty much exactly where they are, because if this goes any more this way, this bolt won't land in the door. And if this piece goes any more forward, this tab right here will block this door from being able to open. So what I have to do is kind of a much, much larger version of what we did over there in the front. I'm gonna have to find the piece of this piece right here, and start to sand it down. And I'm gonna really need to bring that in a lot so this thing can set a good 1/2 inch lower on the car. And then to add to it, this panel's super warped from factory, so the back is gonna take a lot of pressure to set flat with the car. But I've got high hopes. I'm just gonna be very, very carefully sanding, checking, sanding, checking. After some very major adjustments to this piece, I've got it so it's sitting right and it actually fits in to match up with the door one. Only problem that I'm worried about now is since this panel is very warped, it's when the back goes down, it actually wants to push this front piece out. So I gotta see how it's gonna land. We might need to come in the back here and attach this to the fender from the bottom. But we can do that if we have to. So overall, you're gonna notice that there's a little bit of a gap right here, just a tiny couple mils. And that's just because the kit creator, there's no way that this piece, for it to not have a gap, it would have to sit like this. So either it has a gap here, or here, doesn't really matter. That's just a problem with the kit. And again, why I say, for the amount of money that he paid for this kit, probably should have got a little bit better fitment, but oh well. So that's about where it's gonna land, right there, I believe. And I'm gonna go ahead and bolt it up. Another panel is on. It's looking pretty good. It doesn't need to be attached to the car here. I don't think so, at least, because when you open the door and you close it, the two panels pretty much mate to each other and overlap, so I don't think you're gonna have any issues there. You can see I test fit the next panel, and I've been ranting enough about the quality of this kit, but I'm just gonna summarize it by saying, guys, I don't think you should buy this kit unless you are like a bodywork specialist or something like that, or plan on, you know, sending it to a body shop, because there are just too many small things wrong. Like, I mean, I could just do the sanding and stuff like that, but on these pieces right here, you're seeing gap here, tight space here, gap here. That's just from this piece to this piece. Those pieces should mate up correctly from the factory. You come back over to the other piece that we're about to set up on the other car, or on the other side, tight space here, gap here. I'm not really showing it properly, but when you mate these up, tight space here, gap at the end. And that one's actually really bad. Look at that. So it's just like, it should be better quality for the amount of money that this kit is. So end of rant. I wouldn't suggest this company to anybody else. I'm gonna go ahead and modify that piece and then we'll bolt it up. that's the final piece. So that piece and that piece don't have the well nuts in them. I find that when you're drilling out the holes, you can get a more exact fit if you don't use the well nuts right off the bat. They add in a little bit of element of play in there. So now it's time to take both of those pieces off and drill out the holes larger and insert the well nuts and slap them back on. This rear part is all bolted down and ready to go. The guys are here. This is Casey that owns the car. Yeah. All the boys from my WRX channel. Again, I'll put the link in the description. So they're gonna help me and we're gonna go ahead and wrap up that other side. We're just gonna bust it all out, time lapse it up real quick, and then we'll get into the little fine details. The rear is all done. We didn't really run into any hangups at all. Same deal over here. We needed to sand this one down a little bit, but other than that, it's great. So if you guys are wondering what it looks like with the body, there we go. And we test fitted Mustang 20-inch wheels, and it does fit 20-inch chrome wheels, just in case Casey needs any on the way home. Yeah. Got you covered. All right, that is a wrap on all the panels. Casey, here is your weather stripping. So I bought this for Casey, and then I realized obviously he's taking all these panels off to have them go to paint. The way this weather stripping works though is you separate those two pieces right there. It looks like kind of looks like a B shape right there. Wait, hang on, I'm trying to show the end. Yeah, it looks like a B shape right there. Well, this is what the stuff looks like at your local Home Depot. If you're in a different country, well, you're totally screwed. Anyways, so you separate those two things right here and take that adhesive, separate these two pieces, take one adhesive and go ahead and run a line on the inside of your panel going like this. Then when you tighten down your panel, it'll squish it down and you'll have that nice little black outline and it'll seal it all up nice to your car and it won't scratch your car. Sweet. So coming over here, I mentioned that this was a little bit of a loose fit, and is it 2 a.m. or 1 a.m.? It's 1 a.m. right now. Yeah. So we're not gonna work on these like small little things, but I was showing Casey, so to fix this piece right here, all I would do is get a little bit of a spacer, maybe some foam with some stickiness on the back, and put it in there, and it'll push that piece right that way. Do the same thing over there, and it'll push it in perfectly to sit in the exact right spot. So two small pieces of foam, they'll push themselves out towards the car. That'll hold your panel in the right spot there. And on the other side, it's a little bit different. So here's the rear that we did today. And Casey was here and helped. Having the guys help, I would say if you have 1 or 2 people here to help, it definitely goes a lot faster. We busted through this one twice as fast as I did the other side. So that side's all good, you know that. There's nothing to change here. Now this one is a little bit different because the kit has some different like subtleties on it. And what you need to do to get this one to line up is to basically pull it forward. So there's a little bit of extra material on the back here. God, it's like a really tight fit. On the back, you see that in the inside there?
Yeah, yeah.
Behind the door. When your wheel's off, there's also some metal right back here as well. Drill a hole through the metal, through your kit onto the other side, and send a bolt with a nut through there. Then you'll have variability, like adjustability, and as you tighten down that nut, it'll cinch it in down to there, and it'll sit perfectly like that. Sweet. And then you're good to go, and your kit is 100% perfectly on. This thing is so wide. How big are your wheel spacers?
The spacers right now, 20 millimeters.
Yeah, so right now he has 20 mil spacers, and damn, that's gonna be a super, super wide car. You'll send some pics. I'll repost a pic on Instagram once you get your new wheels on there. All right, let's get this car out of here, get you guys home. They have a 3-hour drive home, so they're not gonna be home till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, it's like 2 a.m. now and I'm on my way home, but I'm not on my way home for good. I'm on my way home to get Casey's keys to his car. because I accidentally forgot them at home today and we didn't realize till right now. So I gotta drive 20 minutes home and 20 minutes back to the shop to hopefully get them on the road by like 2:30 a.m. Jesus, how did I forget the keys? Can't believe these guys showed up here at like 6 o'clock and worked with me all night until 2 a.m. I got the key. Dude, I'm so sorry. Man, I feel really bad. They're gonna be driving until 5 a.m. now to get home. I screwed up. In the future, I will remember that keys for cars that are in the shop should just stay in the shop. Why not? Why not have that be a thing? Thank you guys. Thank you so much to Jay and Casey for bringing the car out and letting me do the work on it. That was a real privilege. That was really fun to work on such a badass car. So huge thanks to them. And in the next episode, guys, it's time to unveil the new build. What is it? I'll give you a hint. It is from Japan. So I'm excited. I think you guys are really gonna like it. It's something different that we haven't done for a while. Leave a comment below of what you think it's gonna be. And that's it. That was how to Widebody a 2016 STI. I had a lot of fun. What else? Sorry, I'm like delusional. It's 2:40 a.m. right now. I got an early start. Oh, I sold the Mustang today, guys. So the Mustang is gone. And I'll be emailing more people about the S2000. I think the BRZ is gonna be gone tomorrow. So that's that. How about we'll do the unveil of the new build the day after tomorrow. So this episode drops day after tomorrow. The new build will come out. That's it. That's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. I'll see you the day after tomorrow. Peace.